Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Oh, have I got your attention now?
I love that new intro, Don. That is awesome, man.
Yeah, I love it.
Yes, cool stuff. How's it going, guys?
Hey, guys. Welcome. Morning. Welcome back. Today's episode, Coffee with Closers. I believe this is episode 15. We got a very special guest, Max Maxwell, is joining us today. Max, good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having us, guys.
Good morning.
Yeah,
All right. Don, where you at? Gavin, where you at? You're always traveling the world.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. You can see the RV. We've got the Razor. We're in Michigan right now. Came outside, so hopefully my signal's pretty good. But yeah, traveling. I'm in Michigan. I'm in the UP, the Upper Peninsula. I think I might have been here last time I spoke to you, actually. But yeah, all good. Glad to have Max on. Pretty excited. Again, I always say this. I have some selfish questions for him. I'm sure you guys do too. Plus, our listeners are going to have a lot as well. So yeah, I'm ready to roll. Life's all good. What about with Dave? You've just been away. Where have you been?
Man, I just got back from Costa Rica yesterday. Man, it's quite a bit of travel getting down there. It's really not that far away, really, but it's quite a bit of travel. But man, it was a beautiful experience. So I'm in a mastermind, obviously with Don here, but I'm in another mastermind. Don, you're in that one too. So are you, Gavin. I always forget that. But there was about 8 guys from one of our masterminds. We got together down in Costa Rica, and just a really cool experience. It was actually an audible. And what I mean by that is we were really all supposed to go to Nicaragua and serve, on a mission trip and build some churches and some houses. But with COVID and some of the guys in the group having children, we didn't want to get stuck there. So what we did is we audibled to Costa Rica. We already had our calendars booked, to take that time off. And we weren't able to really serve, the underprivileged, even though that was the goal. But again, we were able to get together and do a little mastermind. And so great activities. Yeah. We did a mile-long zip line, which was so incredibly cool. We did some whitewater rafting, and then we even got to go surfing. The house we were in was amazing, had 2 maids, 2 chefs, and a driver. So we were down there for 5 nights, just living like kings. And, it's all due to real estate. It's all due to the success that we've all had in real estate. And it's really good to get together and, share best practices and talk about what's working. And even more importantly than that, like what we're struggling with. And, one of the things I really like about this particular mastermind is it's not all, but mostly real estate guys. There's some guys in there that aren't even in real estate, but it's not even really like a money driven, like, it's really more about just being a better human. And man, I just had an amazing time. So I don't want to steal the show here.
No, that's good.
I'm back, and I'm feeling energized.
That makes more sense though, because I'm thinking that you're going to build houses and do all this thing, and then you're like living the dream in this massive house. I'm like, hold on a minute. What is going on?
That was the plan. Well, we went from tents to a villa. That was, it was a little audible there, but having the calendar booked already, it's like, hey, we already had, the mission planned, right? So we decided to keep it going. So we really missed you guys, but all in all, it was a really, really neat trip.
Cool. So, so Max, welcome. So I guess just a lot of people are going to know who you are, but just tell us a little bit about the real Maxwell. Tell us a little bit about you and kind of your background and what's going on, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm a first generation American. My parents are Jamaican, and so I was born in New York and spent most of my childhood in North Carolina. Went to elementary, middle, high school here, and then went off to the military at 17. Just didn't like the structure. Time and grade didn't really work out, where people that were there long, just because they were there long, weren't put in positions that didn't make sense. But that was the entrepreneur in me that just was screaming to get out. And so after doing my time in there, I left and got into a few things, and then got into real estate, started a brokerage. 2008 happened, and then I left and just started traveling and doing corporate jobs and working in marketing and stuff. And in 2015, quit my job, came back home to create an app. App was going well, ran out of money, had to move back home with my mom at around 30 years old. And, that was pretty humbling. And then I was on my face, I was depressed, that whole nine. I was like, I got to do something. And then said, let me pick real estate back up, but from the side of an investor. The only problem is I didn't have any money, definitely didn't have any credit. And I was like, what can I do? Found wholesaling, listened to every single podcast, YouTube video that was out back then in 2016, which wasn't much, believe it or not. And then just dove deep into it. And in 3 weeks, I got my first deal, made $14,000. The next week I closed something for $7,000. And then I never looked back. And since then I've grown to, we've done hundreds of deals, and, I've been able to grow a YouTube channel along my journey and kind of show people how it's done. And it's just been fun. Now we have, close, I think it's 21 employees. We got 5 employees on their second day of training today. And so we're just growing and doing more stuff. And at the end of the day, my wholesaling business is actually pretty automated. I really don't go into the office anymore. My brother, who's the COO, runs the day-to-day operations. And I just kind of manage from my CEO dashboard and, listening in the calls and recordings of the team and look at KPIs and keep doing things. And my strength is to, invest in the other things. So at the end of the day, I'm truly just an entrepreneur. Real estate just happened to be that car that took me to success where I can do everything else I really want to do. Yeah.
Amazing. When I have a quick question, when you got started and you started on the investing journey, right? You did a decent, great size check. Mm-hmm. When you got in, did you believe that, like, immediately, was you kind of skeptical, like, this is kind of a scam, this thing can't really work this way, like controlling property without owning it? Or was you invested from the get-go, like, no, this is going to work? It's like, what was your mindset at that time when you started?
Well, I kind of thought it wasn't real, but at that point I didn't have anything. So it was like, okay, what do I have to lose by trying this scam or trying this thing? Yeah. Then it was like, I don't got nothing to lose. So let me go out there and try it. And lo and behold, you actually can control real estate with no with no money. And so being able to control it and then sell it, and making my first check, it just became a believer. And that's why my slogan is, everybody's just one deal away, because that first deal really solidifies that this really works. And you can take it wherever you want to go from there.
I absolutely love that. It's so true. That's one deal is all it takes. It may not get you financial freedom.
Absolutely
right? Not. But it gets you into the mindset that it's possible. It builds your confidence. And it really just pushes that little rock down the hill. And if you stay with it, it's going to be a boulder in no time. So it
just showed me that I didn't need to know everything, the ins and outs, in order to complete a deal. So now if I invest my time into learning some more details while taking action, I'm gonna get paid to learn. And I was writing my own checks to learn this, and years go by, you just get better and better. And, you can take it where you want to take it. You could stop at doing, a couple deals a month, or you can grow into an empire and build, a huge real estate portfolio if you want to.
Hey, Don, can you zoom in a little bit, buddy?
Can I zoom in a little? Yeah. I may be cutting it out. Yeah, I know, it's funny. I have had so many technical difficulties this morning. It's not even funny. We just moved offices, and so I tore my whole podcast studio down, and I'm trying to put things back together, and nothing is working. I had my computer up. I've been here for an hour. I had my computer up, ready to go for this, and it literally crashed like 2 minutes before I was supposed to come on. It's been a morning. I'm excited to talk to Max and have this conversation. I'm just going to sit back and listen, I think, today.
That's right.
Because it's one of those mornings where you want to throw things against the wall.
That's right. Yeah. Max, we like to have fun on this show, man. Coffee with closers. The goal here is, all of us on this call, including you, have done hundreds of deals, and, we're all doing different things in real estate, and we're also all doing similar things in real estate. And this is just a great opportunity for us to just kind of give back, provide as much value as we possibly can, but also get to network and, just really help people. So we encourage the live audience interaction. Absolutely. And as we get going, there's going to be questions that are going to come from the audience, and we're going to throw them up on the screen, and we're all going to have a conversation about those. So guys, if you're watching or listening and you have a question for Max or for the rest of us here, drop that comment in, tell us where you're from, and we can't wait to kick this off. So Max, how old are you, bro?
I'm 36. I'll be 37 in November.
We're the same age. I'll be 37 in September. I love it, man. And how old were you when you got started?
30.
30. I was 30 when I got started.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Very cool.
When
did you get your license, your pilot's license?
2015.
Oh, wow. It's a pretty recent.
Yeah, but I was broke after I got it. So I didn't fly. I didn't own a plane, didn't do anything. It wasn't until a year or two ago, I just was like, let me just go buy a plane.
Yeah.
I love it,
we talked a little bit about that, like, before we started, and it's intriguing. I've got a friend who's a pilot as well, and I could talk all day about it because again, I was saying to Max, I'm scared to death of flying. I don't like it, and but it's amazing. I wish I did, because it's definitely something I'd do if I had the balls to do it, I guess. So Max, how are you? You've just been on a massive trip, out to Ghana for I think 20 something days.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear all about this.
Are you, and this might be a stupid question, I don't even know if you have to fly your plane within, the US, or are you flying yourself out there, or is that just too long? And
no, so when I'm on a long journey, I typically, especially with a deadline, I won't fly myself. It's just easier. So that's a 10 and a half hour flight across the Atlantic. First of all, my plane won't fly across the Atlantic. And then if I did have to go, I'd have to go to Canada, to all over. It would just be so long. Now, if I was just casually going to Ghana and wanted to take a week to get there, I would do it, but it's not something I would. I'm not. That's for when I get my my M500.
There you go. Get your King Air or something big.
Exactly.
There's a saying in the pilot community: if you have time to spare, go by air.
Correct. Because you gotta go with the winds.
You gotta go
with the weather.
That's exactly right. Unless you got a big jet, and then you can just do whatever the hell you want. But yep.
So when you're at home, and sorry, one question on the plane thing. I just got one more on it. I know that's nothing to do with real estate.
I like talking about planes. It doesn't bother me.
So when you do you just wake up and just be like, I'm just gonna go and go on the plane today? Like, where do you go? Like, what do you do? Like, we talked about me. I get in the RV and I kind of had a final destination, but I have no concept of, am I going to be gone a week or 2 months? I don't know. I'm just kind of on the road. Like, what's some of your spots? What does that look like for you?
I mean, technically in planes, you do pre-flight planning, just because of the weather. You don't want to run into a bad storm if you don't have to. But for me, I don't have what they call a bush plane or a stow plane, so it's still a fun plane to fly without having a destination. So, like, if I'm done with work at 5, I might, pull the plane out and go up for 6 and fly around the lake and land at some other airports and stop and talk to some other pilots and spend 2 or 3 hours before it gets dark and then come home. Or, like, if I'm destination, like Friday, I'm going to go to Nashville because there's a bull riding event there on the weekend. So I'm going to go do that. And, we went to the Bahamas a couple months ago. We fly the plane, it's just kind of whatever you want to do. If you want to, I really wanted to get in the plane and do like 30 days wherever the wind blows me and just land and go see places. But there's, in the United States, there's some pretty cool resorts. There's one down in Florida. I can't remember exactly where it is, but it's a resort that has its own landing strip, and you just go land and go glamping and hang out. And so you can do all types of stuff like that. There's places you can fly in and play golf. And that's amazing. Whatever you want to do, really.
Love it. And have you had any like moments up there where kind of oh shit moments? You know what I mean?
I think, you have not that you're gonna die, but man, that was a big bump in turbulence, or like I had but nothing like you're gonna die. I mean, I have a very, very advanced smart plane. I'll be honest with you, 80% of the time it's on autopilot. But yeah, it's fun. It beats the crap out of driving.
It sure does. It's
amazing.
A lot of people don't realize how many airports there really are. And when you get up in a plane, and I'm a pilot as well, for anybody watching that's not aware, but when you get up in the plane and you're at 4,000 or 5,000 feet, you can almost see an airport at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the higher you go, the more you can see. But I just pulled up a statistic off of Google here. So in 2020, there was 5,217 public airports. However, there is 14,702 private airports.
There's
The only
airports
distinction
everywhere.
between public and private is the usage, not
Right.
ownership, right?
Yeah.
So you're essentially talking about 20,000 airports across the country. It's amazing.
You can land anywhere.
You can land, yeah. And if you don't have an airport and something goes wrong, you can find a field or a road or a highway, all these different types of places. So, yeah, it's so cool, Max.
I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, anyway, I guess we can get back to real because I'll talk planes for 7 hours. So don't let me.
Trying to talk yourself into getting one. I know what it is.
No. That's why I asked you that question, because I was like, if you tell me about any moments, you're not helping me.
I got some questions for Max in regards to real estate, so I'm gonna jump it off here, guys. Max, I know you as being an amazing giver when it comes to wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched hundreds of hours of your content, but I do follow you on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing you constantly, right? The first question I have for you is, are you buying rentals and are you a landlord as well as wholesaler? Or fix and flips?
Yeah, so fix and flips definitely always have at least five that are running at the same time. I own probably 8 million in real estate free and clear. One thing I've never took out a loan for real estate, so I don't own anything. I have no loans on anything that I own. Some people say it's crazy. They say, "Oh, you can grow a lot faster with it." It's true. But at any given time, I can just walk away. And so that's always been my thing. And so, it wasn't until, my friend Nazar was showing me his rental portfolio one day in Charlotte, where I was like, I'm making all this money wholesaling. I got a brand. What am I doing selling all my deals? And you're talking about some deals are like 30% cost. Like, why are you selling it for a $40,000 check? So, I started buying, and then I got addicted to buying, and then I was just buying. I have probably a half a dozen houses that I haven't even rehabbed yet. But that I'm sitting on probably, so much equity, it's worth so much more than I bought it for. And so, yeah, the name of the game is passive income, because I don't want to do this forever. I don't think anybody does. And so I always say that real estate wholesaling, the true gem in wholesaling is knowing how to find real estate at a very discounted price. What you do with it after is your prerogative. And if you don't have any money, you wholesale it, you build up. And so that's where I say you kind of learn, you're paying yourself to learn, because as you start to wholesale more deals, you're starting to interact with more sophisticated buyers. You're starting to learn the idea of selling and closing. And then you get to a point where you say, okay, why am I selling this deal again? I have all this money over here that I got to pay all this taxes on. I might as well buy something. And you start to buy, and then you start to realize, if you have everything in a software spreadsheet, you start to see your net worth just go like this, and it becomes addicting.
It does become addicting.
Yeah, it becomes a game. And so my thing is I try to spend the cash as fast as I get it. So, at one point I was spending 75% of my income on just investing every month. And so, I've had good years. So you can imagine spending 1 year buying like $3 or $4 million worth of property. And so, when you're doing that, you're like, you just keep going. It just becomes addicting. It sounds weird, but a lot of people, like you said, it is addicting. You start to watch it on paper, your net worth.
And that's a great topic, because there's a guy in one of our masterminds, Aaron West, and he had me probably about 3 months ago, and he's like, do you know your net worth? I have no idea. I make good money, I do stuff, and he's like, well, what are you worth? I'm like,
you're like, I know it's not negative.
Yeah, I know I make money. I don't know. So then he starts explaining, and he's like, look, I'm going to give you a week. He said 7 days. I want you to find out what your net worth is, right? And if you don't, you're going to pay me $5,000. I was like, all right, well, that's the incentive. So I started doing it, looking at it, and now it is a game, right? And we're buying a house next month. It's actually a family house. It's on a lake in Michigan called Twin Lake. And we're buying this house, and I'm like, got all excited and called it. I'm like, hey, if I buy this at 145,000, we're going to put 100 in. So I'm in it for 245, but it's going to be worth 350. My net worth's gone up, right? So, and it is a game. It's like, it's addictive because now I'm like, how do I go, through the levels?
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I've only just come across 3 months ago that I've never looked at. And it's pretty amazing to hear you say that as well. And having that mindset of you're paying everything off, which is more like me as well. I don't want a bunch of debt.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dave, he's a Burr guy and he likes to refinance and that's fine as well. I think it both works, but it's cool to get your perspective on that as well.
Yeah, I think for me it's my resentment against banks. Because when I thought I needed the money, when I had no credit and I had no money, it was like, oh, the banks, I need the banks. They won't give me money. I can't be successful without them giving the money. And now I enjoy the weekly calls of them asking me to refi my portfolio. I'm just like, no, I don't need it. And so it's kind of like it's a resentment towards them. I enjoy it. I know I can probably have 5 times as much real estate, but I know that any given time that I really, really wanted to go leverage my portfolio, I can do it a drop of a dime. Mm. And so maybe if there's a collapse in the economy, that might be a time I go out and leverage my portfolio and take the cash out and go buy some other stuff.
That's smart.
But in the meantime, I can live off the cash flow and my net worth for the rest of my life. I don't live a complicated life. I've got all my toys I wanted. I built $1 million house. I got my plane. I got my cars. I don't need anything else.
Is the house finished?
Almost. Waiting on the final inspection for electric, but I don't think it'll ever really be finished because I got a riding arena, indoor riding arena to do after. I got to complete the horse barn, put the 8 stalls up and stuff like that. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. But it'll be livable probably in the next, probably by the end of the month.
Nice. Yeah, I've been following along, man. The place looks amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah,
it's really neat.
Love it. Good. So, guys, if you've got any questions, Dave, pop that up if you can.
Yeah, you got
asking questions. So if you're watching us, guys, make sure you give us a like and share the post as well. We want to get as many eyes as we can. Again, thank you to Max for joining us. And I know a lot of you are going to be watching the replay. So if you have any questions for Max, again, been in the business, kind of at the top of the tree, someone that I think we're trying to, well, me especially, in terms of the influence on YouTube and social media, something that I've started to work on more and more. And I think there's levels to it. So, looking at the content that you're putting out, Max, is, impressive. I've got a question. I always remember a story years ago when I met you, that you had a guy, if I remember rightly, following you with a camera, how you started with this from, I think you picked him up from like Best Buy or something.
Yeah.
And you literally hired him and he was just following you with a camera and you just document everything. Is that kind of how you started, getting a following and really building on the social platform?
Yeah, because I sat in my car one day in the mall and I said, hey guys, I'm going to show you my journey as I try to build this real estate business. And I made my first 3 videos by myself holding the camera. I still got a lot of cameras. People don't know. I actually know how to loosely edit and do things myself. And then one day I was in Best Buy to buy a new battery. Anybody got cameras know their batteries go missing all the time. And so I went to go buy a new battery and I was a big fan of Gary Vee at the time. And he had a guy named D-Rock. And I said, the guy that was helping me was actually a Sony employee working inside of Best Buy. And he's helping me find a Canon battery. His name is Juwan. I said, hey, do you know Gary Vee? He's like, yeah, I know Gary Vee. I said, you know who D-Rock is? He was like, yeah. So I was like, you want to be my J-Rock? And so he was like, yeah, what does that look like? And I was like, what do you make a week? And I was like, all right, I'll pay you that. And we started to work together and we worked together for, I think, 1.5 years or something like that. And he went on to do some other things. And then Dave is a guy I know for 10+ years. He came in, he's been doing video his whole life, went to college for it. And then the team just grown. And now we're like, just on my content side team, there is 3 full-time employees. And plus there's an outside contract I have with a PR group that works with my communication and stuff like that. So I mean, I spend probably $300,000 a year to put out videos. but the ROI on that is actually insane.
Yeah, that's amazing. And and I bet you go back and look at your content from when you started to what now. It's just like, again, different level, right?
It's
I mean,
crazy.
it looks amazing, and so really, really good. So tell us a little bit, and guys, sorry, ask questions as well, but tell us a little bit about your trip in Ghana. Like, so what have you been doing out there? Talk to us about these other adventures, because it seems a bit like me. Real estate was just kind of the concept for you, right? You're an entrepreneur. For me, like I don't come across when I have a lot of students as well, and I wasn't the guy that bought all the courses, and I've dreamed about real estate. Someone said to me, I can work from a phone and a laptop, and the concept's real estate. I'm all in, and that's how I started. And I'm always looking at different things. So sounds a kind of a similar thing to you. So what other adventures are you doing, and what have you been doing out in Ghana?
Well, first of all, for like entrepreneur wise, I own airplane manufacturing business. We're airplane brokers. I own a meat market. I own what else I own?
You got softwares too, right?
Yeah, 2 data companies that we built from scratch that do real well. Because I really believe in being vertically integrated in any business that you're in. And so, with that entrepreneur, I've kind of, wanted to keep exploring my entrepreneur stuff. So I originally went to Ghana to look at real estate and see how I can start to be a market leader in a developing country. And, with the second best economy, the second safest country in Africa, I was like, why not? Right. Let's go over there. Checked it out. Loved it. And I was like, let's build real estate. And then as I started to get into it, I was like, we can all do real estate with our eyes closed. That's not really why I'm here. And it led me to a rice company. That sounds crazy. It led me to a rice company, and Ghana imports over $5 billion worth of rice every year. So they're solely dependent on imports for their rice consumption. And same with poultry. They're almost $400 million worth of chicken they import from Brazil every year. And so my entrepreneur mind started digging into it and saying, okay, how do I solve this problem? Any country would want to be dependent on their own food. And so, looking into the poultry business, finding out why, I know this is crazy. We're talking about chicken on a real estate show, but the idea is same concept from real estate is how big of a problem can I solve? And if the problem's big enough, I'm gonna make a lot of money. And so if I can capture 5 or 10% of a $5 billion rice market in Ghana that imports, then I'll be able to have a company worth $250 million to $500 million. And at the end of the day, we're all in this for, well, as an entrepreneur, our Super Bowl is selling a company that we created. Like, are you really an entrepreneur if you can't build something that somebody else wants to buy from you? And so my idea has always been, I need to build a company that someone wants to buy. It's like our Super Bowl ring. It's like our NBA title. And so not only does it, solidify us as an entrepreneur that can build something that somebody wants, but it also allows us financial freedom if we're able to exit at a big enough number. And so now I'm always looking, what else can I build and do to create a company with the end in mind? And so that's why you see me so vertically integrated in real estate. And that's why you see me deploying, money from my self-directed IRA into other businesses and other investments so that I can get that Super Bowl ring in the entrepreneurship world. And so for me, it's rice fields. It's solving the problem of creating, how do we, I just in my research, this is going down a rat hole, but America creates 98% of its corn for feed, not human consumption.
That's right.
Only 2% of corn is made for human consumption, which means because 70% of animal feed is created by maize, which is corn. And 60% of the cost of raising a chicken is from feed. And so the reason why Ghana can't beat the prices from putting a chicken on a boat all the way from Brazil is because they don't produce any maize for feed consumption, only human consumption. So, this is just going down this rabbit hole of how do I solve this big problem? And and it's the same with any business. It's the same with real estate. The only reason you're getting a check is because you're solving someone's problem that the traditional real estate will not be solved. It didn't fit in the box of a realtor listing and selling, or you're solving this other problem. And so with that, you use those same skill sets and you start to solve bigger problems. I'm trying to make a country self-efficient when it comes to food. Now, that's crazy, right? You're looking at it, you're like, who do you think you are to try to do that? But if you can solve a bigger problem, if I could wholesale, hundreds of houses with no money, why can't I fix a bigger problem somewhere else? And so that's where my entrepreneur minds, I'm sure you guys are in the other things as well too. It's like, if we can do this, why can't we do that?
And
I
that's,
we didn't think we were going to talk about chicken and rice, but we're here.
well, but it's more
it's
more fulfilling though, isn't it, for you?
Yeah,
right. That's, if you make a 50 grand on a wholesale deal today, it's just another deal, right? And it's what you can use. Like, real estate is what started everything for you to be able to then build the things, and the things that you're changing originally came from real estate. And you're just fulfilling things that, I mean, it's just,
for me, it's all about impact.
Amazing.
It's all about impact investing. I think all of us live a very comfortable life. And so we reached a point of our life where another $2 or $3 million a year doesn't do anything for us. It doesn't change anything. We may go on one more vacation. We're not going to go buy new houses and new this and new that. So the reality is, we're looking for 20, 50, $100 million checks. Like, we can do it if we just allow our mind to expand into this bigger part. Like, there's nothing special about Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. They just had a bigger dream than us. And so I always tell people, yes, get into wholesaling. I don't care what your passion is. It's going to teach you great skills on sales, closing skills. It's going to teach you how to help people in a time of need. And if you have a moral conscience, it would allow you to put people before money, and still make a lot of money doing it. And so that's why I tell people, get into wholesaling, get your money up, learn real estate, because it's the foundation of wealth. Because if you get a $250 million check, you ain't gonna do nothing but buy real estate with it. So you better understand the best way to buy it anyways. So
the other thing that you said, one of my takeaways as well, is that the way that you run your real estate business, you're just taking your skills into other things, right? And that's why people listening are going, well, how's he doing a tech company? How's he doing this and doing rice and Ghana or whatever? How's he doing this and that? All you're doing is taking the foundation skills that you've built through your wholesaling business and applying them into other things. Like, I used to be a golf professional, right? So I'm quite strong on the mindset. So when I got into real estate, everything that I do, even that I teach now, everything goes back to being a golf pro and having that mindset to say that you need to do in sport, and applying it into real estate. So who's going to tell me when, family and friends think I've lost my mind? A guy from England coming to the United States, going into real estate, can't build a house, can't build anything with his hands, absolutely useless. How's he going to be able to be an investor? Like, they're contacting my wife, think I've lost my mind, which is cool. And I'm just like, I'm on my journey to say, all right, let's just give me 6 months. Let's see what I can do. And guess what? When you start then to build and it actually starts to work because of the mindset, I was never going to be denied. And that's not an arrogance. And I never said anything. I was just internally believed it. And then guess what? You start doing money, you start making checks, and you do $5 grand deal, and then you do 10. All of a sudden you make 20,000 a month. And people are like, hold on. Well, can you teach me how you're doing it again? This actually works. And you got to go through that motion, and that was a big transition for me. And that's what you're doing on greater things. I mean, going to levels that you talk about vision, and I think you create the vision, but I don't know, had a vision to do that and go to do the things you're doing. It's not even a vision of mine. And but having this conversation and why we do these calls is to go, you know what? There's a bigger purpose, right? Go for the, shoot for the stars, right? And so I thank you for sharing that. And again, I always say that these calls are for people watching, but we have to ask our selfish things to be able to pull it out for the audience as well.
I'm looking up some statistics on Ghana here just because I'm curious. Ghana has a population of 30.42 million people. Holy cow. It's the size of Oregon.
Exactly.
Holy cow. So there's a lot of people there. So that brings up some questions, Max. So if you have a place the size of Oregon with 30 million people and they're importing, did you say 50 billion in rice?
Yeah, 5 billion.
Or 5 billion. Yeah, crazy still. Massive number. 5 billion. So is there even land there and room to put rice?
Yeah, it's huge. So there's a large population of people living in the city called Accra, which is about 5 million plus people. But being able, so I rented a plane there and I was able to fly over, some of the country, and it's vastly populated in certain areas. It's like, here goes New York City, here goes,
so you have these hubs basically.
Yeah, and then you have open land.
Got it.
And so there's definitely a lot of acreage to build, to put a lot of greenery and crops and stuff.
That's really awesome, man. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So then you're tackling an issue. So here goes another thing I learned while digging into real estate. They mainly buy all their houses cash.
In Ghana?
Yeah.
No way.
We're talking $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 houses of cash. Wow. If you want to rent a house, you got to pay 1 or 2 years of rent up front because there's no credit system. And so the mortgage rates, if you can get a mortgage because you have a very steady job that's on the books, you're paying somewhere between 18 and 25% mortgage rate.
Seems like there's a good opportunity to go there and lend.
Yeah, so that's already in the works. So EcoBank is going to be people from the United States actually is going to be putting a ton of money into Ghana when it comes to the mortgage. So in the next 18 and 24 months, you're going to be seeing a lot of good, rates when it comes to mortgage. So we all lived in America. We understand. We've seen the movie before. So you need to start building houses for the middle class, the middle people, because we all know the largest home builder in America sells 1,000 homes a week. They sell 52,000 houses a year. Not a luxury home builder. They build for the masses, medium size, medium priced homes. And so if you can do that in another country, which we all know how to do that, like we can just, that's just development. And so they're in the need. What my first initial thing was to go over there and build affordable housing, which I still do. I'm doing a project over there now, probably like 10 units to start. And on a 1 acre plot, 2 acre plot. And so you're just seeing like, you've been in America, you've seen the movie before. Don't be afraid to give up smooth roads and good cell phone reception to go over there and make an impact and make millions and millions of dollars.
What movie are you referring to?
The movie of America. Like we've all seen.
Oh, gotcha.
What I'm saying? Just living in America, we've been able to live it, watch it, and consume it. So when you go to a developing country, you'd be like, oh, I know what's going to happen here. I've seen this movie before. And so you're able to go over there and insert yourself and solve a problem that we already have or we already fixed back in America.
Wow. That's really awesome. That's really, really awesome. Hey, we got a couple questions. Let's jump these in here and then we can circle back to our own here. So what's your per door cash flow expectations on a typical single family? And you're buying cash, so it's going to be a lot higher than what mine would be.
So I'm not that technical, because I'm a wholesaler and I know I'm buying houses at 40 to 50% of its value, 60% of its value. It doesn't matter to me because the real money is in that equity between what it's worth and what I paid for it. As long as I'm getting a return better than any bank can give me, I'm fine, which, North Carolina is a great rental market. So I never break out a calculator from the houses I have to buy. I just know it's a great deal.
You're probably averaging 600 to 800, I would think, right? Maybe more.
At least.
Probably, probably at least 800.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. I'll tell you, on my last one, I bought for $38,000, rents $800.
It's awesome.
The house is worth, I think it's appraised at 98. I mean, I don't need a calculator for that.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah, and I guess it's like, I always try and think of different ways of putting it across. It's almost like a savings account for you, right?
It's better than a savings account.
Yeah.
Where else your net worth wise, where are you going to put 38 grand and then they say, hey, that 38 grand tomorrow's worth 98?
Yeah.
I don't need it.
Yeah, literally overnight.
Yeah, overnight. It's like, hey, your net worth went up 60 grand.
200%.
Yeah.
Right.
But to you, it's your savings account.
Yeah.
Like that's how you're looking at it, and it's obviously way better than being in there. That's why you're not bothered about cash flow, because a lot of people teach in our industry, like houses. I'm not a guy of like, oh, $200 cash flow a month and all that. I'd rather have the equity, personally.
There's no way I'm buying. For me personally, because I got to go get 200 doors to do what I'm doing with way less. That's just my strategy. That's because I've been blessed with having very high active income. And so there's many different ways to skin the cat. And so because I have this high active income, I'm able to just go buy high active income plus knowing how to find deals. I mean, you're essentially a bank at that point.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's good.
We got
really
another one here as well. This one's, I think, related to horses here. Max, you and I are big guys. This is from Scott, one of our viewers. What size is your quarter horse? Start by telling us what the hell a quarter horse is, maybe.
So quarter horse is an American quarter horse. It's the reason why they call it quarter horse because it's supposed to be very fast at a quarter mile. That's kind of the history.
Cool. Thank you.
And how they measure horses is by hands, like this. That's how they do it old school. So my smallest horse is 15 hands.
Finger to.
Yeah. So that's how they measure horses. So my smallest horse is 15 hands. My horse that I ride on a daily, my working horse, is 16 hands. I'm a big guy.
Okay.
And and again, just leading on that, how big do these horses get? I mean, what are we talking here?
So for me, like if you just took your hand and went up 16 times from the ground, that's typically.
But then could you get like an 18 or 19?
If you want to go out and buy like yes, you can. Those horses are expensive and they're typically not a quarter horse, a 17-hand quarter horse.
Too big probably to be able to be fast, right?
Yeah, you by that time you're getting draft horses and stuff.
Wow, it's crazy to think about that. So what's ideal? 15, 16 then?
It just depends on the size of the person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Interesting. Very interesting.
See, look, we're learning all the time. I had no idea. I just thought, there's a horse, get on it.
Just land your plane and get on your horse, man.
Exactly.
I love it.
That's
I love it.
awesome.
Eventually, you're going to have a plane big enough to take your horse with you.
Yeah, that'd be expensive.
So, Matt, what got you into horses and the rodeos and just that culture in general?
Funny question, man. I was watching a Vice video back in 2018 on YouTube. I seen this young kid named Ezekiel Mitchell, and the title was like, black athlete in a predominantly white sport. And I was like, what is this? And I started watching. It was bull riding. I was like, bull riding. I remember going to one bull ride event when I was real drunk one time in Oklahoma. Whole long story, a long time ago. And so I watched it and I reached out to him on Instagram, and ever since then we've been friends. We created an agency where we represent a lot of the Western sport athletes. And as I started getting closer and closer to that culture, I just started to fall in love with certain aspects of it, like being able to get a horse. I own some bulls that compete in a national level. And so just things like that. And plus you can buy livestock from you with your retirement account, if you didn't know. So with your self-directed retirement account, you can buy livestock. So just something that was pretty cool to go out and be able to do those things and have fun.
I love it, man. That's really cool. So you had mentioned that you own some rentals, $8 million worth of real estate paid off. That is phenomenal. Love it. We share an ideology or a mindset. I'm not sure of the exact way to frame this, but wholesaling is a job, and you had mentioned that earlier, and it's a great job. I love it, but it's not something that I want to do every day. And in my business about 3 years ago, we shifted to starting to add rentals at a pretty substantial rate, and really just cherry picking. It all starts with finding that deal. Right. And I tell all my students, and I'm sure you do as well, the goal here is to build your wealth, not necessarily make more money. When you make more money, you pay more taxes. Right. Yes. I hate paying taxes. Nobody wants to pay taxes. So cherry picking is obviously very, very cool. And I encourage everybody to do that as well. How about fix and flips? Do you have some fix and flips going? Do you have that side of your business, like a branch of it?
Unnecessary evil. Yeah. So we have quite a bit. I probably have 7 going right now. The way the market is, it's just a quick infusion of cash. And we have a crew. We have our own crew. So we have to keep the crew running. And so that's why we do it, because when we do flip, nobody can really beat our prices. And so we've had this crew for probably 3 years now, and I've only worked on all of our own real estate deals. And so I like it. It's fun. It's automated at this point. I go to make the video there now, and that's about it. You know, I don't make the decisions on the colors, the floor, none of that stuff. And so that's completely automated.
Nice. I love it. 7 at a time. That's a good amount, man. That'll keep your crew busy for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you said on average your sweet spot's 5, you said?
Yeah, about
that's
5.
What you like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when we don't have anything that's making money, they're kind of at things that I'm buying and holding. You know, one thing I really like to do to my rental properties is fix them up. I'm not a slumlord. I would if I wouldn't live in it, I wouldn't put a tenant in it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. We have 4 right now. One's on the market, so we own 4 right now, and I think that's enough for us. Like I think 3 active for us is enough. Anymore, it's a nightmare anyway. You know, it is. Like sometimes when you get into flips, you're like, why don't I just wholesale? Like it's just frustrating.
So we're very particular on the houses we flip, and what we were particular with the house is the age of the home. We only flip from like 80s and up, and that's just particular to our market because we found that they're easy to flip. Anything older than that, maybe harder in some markets to do, but any house that's like your early 80s and newer, we'll flip them. Anything before that, I'm gonna wholesale them or keep them as a rental.
So what makes a newer home, 80 and recent versus 80 and past? What's the main thing? Is it electrical wiring? Is it the way it was built? Is it materials?
There you go. Then you start getting into all of the above. So you start getting into different electrical codes that may take you to go get permits, to have to do updates. Typically, you're not on a good cycle on the HVAC. So a lot of your big 4, right? Your plumbing, all this stuff mainly has to probably be updated to the point where it's just not worth it. And then you just have the building practices were just different back prior to that. And so you really found a sweet spot where like, okay, 80 and above, we're not going to, the 1980s and above is where we're going to work at. And that's just what we found in our market, in North Carolina. Now, if you live in like DC or Jersey, you're going to have to do the 80. You're going to have to do older houses.
Yeah.
Scott says I'm in the St. Louis market. Most of my houses are 80 years old or older. Much more work involved. Scott, I'm out of St. Louis here, brother, and I get it, man. We got houses built in 1880.
I wouldn't even look at a house that old. This was an historic district.
That's right.
Max, what about wholetailing?
I used to do a lot of that.
Why not now with the crazy market that we have? And like I would have never guessed. I've been in the game as long as you, basically about 6, almost 7 years at this point, and full time at least. And man, like I got some of my students doing, buying houses at 80 or even 85% of the ARV minus repairs. And they're wholesaling them, and it's amazing, but it's not going to last.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, why not now? I would feel like now would be the best time to wholetail.
I think when opportunity presents itself, and it works that way, we'll definitely keep doing them. But now we're offering some different products that we're really liking, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to compete with some of the biggest holding companies in America. How do I take the skill that they don't have and the army that they don't have and create a massive portfolio that I could then sell? So in the next couple of weeks, you'll hear about me releasing this new product / offer towards, that gives something different to home buyers. And I'm sure you guys have talked about it in many of your masterminds. But we're doing more leasebacks. And
I love it.
We're launching the national product for that here pretty soon.
So when you say leasebacks, can you define that? Is that owner financing? Are you guys being the bank, or is it lease option, lease purchase?
We're buying the house at a certain percentage and keeping the owner in there and allowing them to buy it back from us.
Oh, okay. So you're buying them from people that already live in it, and they don't really have a plan to move, or at least right away.
They just don't have the equity.
So it's a purchase lease back to the individual who essentially, they're not the homeowner anymore because the deed changes. And speaking of deed, I want to ask you about that in Ghana in a second here. But they're staying. That's so cool.
You're giving away a lot of information right now.
Yeah.
Which is good. You're 100%.
Killing him.
They can't tap their equity, basically.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Cornelius has a great question. Max, do you still offer a wholesaling course?
Yeah, it's on the my link in my Instagram bio. Nazar, a good friend of mine in Charlotte, we decided to put together something last October. I never really enjoyed the idea of doing a course, and we did it because there were so many bad courses out there. There were so many two wholesale deal, courses out there. And so we decided to put something out because one, I realized I was being a little selfish by not doing it, because some people can watch the 300 videos I have on YouTube in whatever order they want and figure it out. And then some people just can't, they need more instruction. And so I was one of the guys in school that I can pick the pieces and put it together. And some people just need to have a condensed instruction. And so, yeah, it's called the One Deal Away course, and it's on my Instagram bio.
And awesome. And with the new offer that you're bringing out that you were just kind of talking, how do people find out about that? Just follow you on Instagram, or is there something they check out?
Yeah, if you I'm gonna make a big splash about it when the time is right, and it's gonna help wholesalers. I can tell you that. We're gonna offer a lot of them, good tools to put in their belt, and being able to just add another tool, because you have sub twos, you have wholetailing, you have all that type of stuff. And just a lot of things.
243,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Holy amazingness!
Slowed down quite a bit. I was hoping to be about 100 more thousand than that by now. But
wow, but that is a ton. So what's your? I mean, you mentioned Instagram. What's your preferred social media? Probably Instagram, more for communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Instagram because it's a megaphone, which is cool, and you can converse back with people. But I like the long format on YouTube, because people really get to see what is what. Like, I really try to dive deep and give away some of the gems that people can use. And I'm not flashy. Like, and that kind of hurts me a little bit.
I respect the hell out of you because of that, man.
I don't own a Lamborghini. Absolutely. I don't, I have on modest factory watches. I don't do, but I mean, I could buy a Lamborghini every week if I wanted to, but I just decide to buy things that I can pass on to my family whenever I decide to have one.
I love it. So I got a question for you, Max. Again, I was just down in Costa Rica. I was sitting next to this guy on the plane. He was a 60-year-old guy from Denver, and he was retiring down to Costa Rica. And I asked him, I was like, why Costa Rica? And I loved it. I thought it was such an amazing place. In fact, I'm going to probably be back there in 2 months with the wife. But he said that he really liked it because he got a deed of trust. And a lot of these other countries, like specifically Mexico, like you don't get that necessarily. Like, somebody could come in at any time and kind of argue the fact that they had rights to that land before you and essentially kick you off your land. So with that question, with that mindset, Ghana, when you buy land or, doing your developments, is it a deed of trust type country? So
it's funny. So a lot of the tribes, you still have to go speak to the chief, and then a chief will give you land with the deed of a trust. Now, most of the land is still owned by the government, and you do like 99-year leases.
Oh, wow.
That's
kind of cool.
Yeah. So the government will own the land, and you do a 99-year lease. Now, there is some freehold, some family land, they call it, that they own it. But it's a pretty interesting way. And so you can look at it and say, I don't want to do business here, or you can just get with the program and figure out how it's going to work for you. Right. Like, America is not always the gold standard, or you got to be able to deviate and say, okay, I have to do it this way in order for it to work. Got it. That's really interesting. Really interesting. So what do you plan on doing? You're going to do both? Are you going to go talk to some of these tribe guys? And oh yeah, they gave us 5,000 acres for rice. Oh man, that's awesome. That's a ton of land. Yeah, but we're going there to employ a lot of people. Right. That's amazing. That's awesome. Max, I know the show's about an hour. We're at 12. I don't want to keep you too much longer here because I know you got things to do. But I do want to ask if we can maybe get about 5 or 10 more minutes of your time here today. Yeah, I can give you 5. I have a lunch meeting coming up, but I can give you a good 5 minutes. No 5's perfect. So I want to learn more about your software. I want to, if you don't mind, give us a little information about, and I think you maybe even have a couple of them, but tell us what they do, how they can help you, and who your target audience is. Yeah. So quick story about skip tracing. all of us have been in the business actively for about the same amount of time. You know how hard it was 5-6 years ago to get bulk skip tracing. Well, in early 2018, I created a company called REISkip because came from the bail bonding industry, where skip tracing, that's what actually started skip tracing. When somebody misses court, they're called a skip, and you got to trace them down and bring them back to the jail within 90 or 100 days, or you're going to have to pay the full bond amount. So I had access to this data as a bondsman, and I started offering it to real estate agents. To real estate investors at a bulk rate. You can send in 1,000 and get it back in a couple hours. And so we were the first ones to do it above ground. Now we all been in it long enough to where people were offering it underground, send your Excel sheet in, quiet email. I was the first one to have like a public company, go to this website, go get your skip tracing in bulk. So REISkip has been there, but one thing that's different from us is we actually went out and bought data. We don't white label data from another company. We own the data set that we spent over $1 million on 2019. So REIskip.com, you can skip trace one by one, or you can do bulk. And then we created REI Rail, which is a RVM text messaging platform / mini CRM. And then RVMs became kind of a thing of not to do anymore. So we still do skip tracing. We offer, we have an app going on the App Store, I think next week. That's going to allow people to drive for dollars and do things like that. But I love vertically integrated businesses, and how all these businesses started is when I got in this business, I had an advantage because I had great skip tracing, something that a lot of people didn't have. So when people were sending letters, I was the guy that was making phone calls, right? Because my connection rate was much better. And so I was able to save money by not just shooting in the blind with mail pieces, because I didn't have the money to do that. But then I was actually going out and actually, making the phone calls because I had access to that software. So REI Rail, REIskip, and those are my two companies, and check them out. I mean, I won't give you a sales pitch. If you think it's good, it's good. There's no commitment to it.
Love it.
I love it, man. That's awesome.
And a lot of people need it. We use our, certain ones as well. And so, yeah, I appreciate you, sharing that. Well, Max, look, I know you got to go. I think on behalf of me, Dave, and Don, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. I know it's been crazy, your schedule, so thank you. And
absolutely.
If you need anything from us, just reach out. If we can help you in any way, be more than happy to.
Sure. Let's do this again. I like the conversations with real estate people, but almost not about 100% real estate. I think it's fun to me because I think other people get to see another side of us as to why we think the way we think about real estate, which I think is.
Yeah,
Max, we would love to have you back here in the next month or 2 or 3 or 4, whatever, obviously. Again, thanks for coming on, man. We're super grateful to have you here and grateful for your time today. Guys, don't forget, check out the free resources that we have available for you over on coffeewithcloserslive.com. Don't forget, check out Max's softwares, REIskip.com, as well as REIrail.com. And with that, we are going to be signing off today, guys. Max, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
See you next time, guys.